What's happening? This Iron Man from the music group The Lottery, Showtime Records. And on this glorious April 9th, 2018, I bring to you my daily views. Everything concerning the NBA, the schedule, my picks, and the reasons why. To support your boy, as always, just type in JMVOL or just my views on life into the search bar on YouTube.com. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you're alerted every time there's a brand new video. Now, about last night. Only a couple days left in the regular season of the NBA before the playoffs kick into gear. A lot of teams are heading in different directions. Some of them threw in the towel on the first day of the season. They knew they had no chance of making the playoffs, knew they had no chance of winning the championship, for God's sake. Some teams have already clinched a playoff spot. Some teams are resting players. Some teams are trying to recover from injuries before the playoffs. And some are still trying to make it. You know, so we had a lot. Some teams are tanking, and we know how much I hate that. With that being said, we start off with the Orlando Magic, who visited the Toronto Raptors. The Orlando Magic threw in the towel long ago after high hopes at the beginning of the season that they would have not a championship type year, but they would have at least an average year. They threw those hopes in a long time ago, threw the towel in. They didn't even show up tonight. This was just a casual game. This was like a friendly scrimmage for the Toronto Raptors, who locked up the top position or the top seed in the Eastern Conference for the playoffs. They were cruising. They didn't even play DeMar DeRozan, Fred VanVleet, and somebody else. Jonas Valanciunas, they didn't play their starting center. They were playing guys off the bench, and they cruised. I mean, they cruised. This was an easy game. There was no emotion. No one really cared. They were just going through the motions. It was like painting pictures by the numbers. They were just coloring in. It's like, oh, okay, is the game over, coach? All right, we're good. Call it a night. We'll shake hands, give dap, and we'll move on to the next thing. We know our season's already over. Good luck to y'all boys in the playoffs. I know Aaron Gordon does not want to re-sign with the Magic. I mean, because who would want to do that? Who would want to have that nightmare of a team, a franchise who's going nowhere, stuck in a rut, don't have any prospects for the future, and no free agents are looking to sign over there in Orlando? I'm sure he wants to get out as soon as possible. And if the Lakers miss out on LeBron James and Paul George, you know, maybe they might be able to get him on the cheap. He led the pace for the Orlando Magic, scoring 16 points in 27 minutes, shot 50%, 6 of 12, but he led the team in scoring. That's a problem. When your leading scorer scores 16 points, you're not going to win, especially when the team that you're playing has somebody coming off their bench like CJ Miles, and he scores 22 big-time points for the Raptors in only 24 minutes of play. That's why they lost this easy game, this snoozer. The Toronto Raptors win 112-101. Then we had the Detroit Pistons playing the Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis Grizzlies have thrown in the towel long ago. Detroit Pistons were eliminated from playoff contention about a week and a half ago. But let me tell you about this game. This game was interesting. The game was very interesting. Just to let you know, the Memphis Grizzlies won 130-117. Wasn't even close. Only for about 2 minutes during the second quarter. For the Pistons, this is what I gathered from the game. Reggie Jackson, who's coming back from off an injury, this guy scored 13 points. He went 2 for 9 in 20 minutes. He was terrible. Luke Kennard, the shooting guard, 18 points in 32 minutes, shot 50% from the field, had no turnovers. He was all right. You know, he played an average game. Stanley Johnson, who showed so much promise after being drafted in the first round, like he was going to be the answer to LeBron and play in that type of mold of player, at 9 points in 32 minutes. He went 3 for 11. Anthony Tolliver, the much maligned journeyman, who Stan Van Gundy has a soft spot in his heart for. He loves the way his work ethic and the way he plays. He had 30 minutes, 5 of 10 field goal percentage, 50%, 19 points. What really stuck out in my mind is that Andre Drummond, their all-NBA, all-star center, this guy played in a meaningless game that they were getting outplayed the entire time. This guy played 41 minutes. And he only scored 12 points. He had 12 points, 18 rebounds. Yay. He played 41 minutes. What in the hell was Stan Van Gundy thinking? If this guy gets injured and has a season-ending injury where he won't be ready to go at the beginning of next season, that would be catastrophic. This is just outrageous, and something needs to be done, because those type of minutes on a meaningless game at the end of the season for your all-star player is ridiculous and unexplainable. Then we had the Memphis Grizzlies. They've been tanking ever since Mike Conley Jr. was injured, and they had a bunch of other injuries, and they thought they were trying to compete, and they realized that we just don't have enough. There's just not enough gas in the tank to surpass so many good teams in the Western Conference. So we're just going to tank. You know, during the end of the regular season, about a month or so ago, they started signing some other players to some 10-day contracts because of some injuries they were facing, and they really started going to their bench, sitting down Marc Gasol, some of their key players, and letting some of these new guys get a bunch of run. You're hearing it first. The Memphis Grizzlies can be really good next year. They can be really good, depending on recovery from injuries. If Chandler Parsons, yeah, he's still in the league, if he's good to go next year, he's still comfortable. I know he wants to prove himself. That damn near $100 million contract that he signed, that they wish they could get rid of, but there are going to be no takers for that. I know he wants to reestablish himself as a key contributor to this team, as he will likely be the third highest player on the roster. Mike Conley Jr. shows no ill effects, comes back. That is another All-NBA player for them to go along with Marc Gasol. That forms their big three. This rookie Dylan Brooks, the small forward out of Oregon, this guy's the truth. This guy has been steady, solid defensive player. He hasn't shrunk from the moment, has a nice offensive repertoire, likes to drive to the right and then go into the middle of the lane and shoot a left-hand floater. Very nice, very nice. The rookie point guard, Kobe Simmons out of Arizona, he looked really nice. I'm not going to lie to you. Only had one turnover in 32 minutes at 20 points, 7 assists, okay, and 2 rebounds. 70% shooting, 7 out of 10. This guy, and that includes 4 for 7 from three-point range. A lot of college guards have trouble adjusting to the farther distance in the NBA for the three-point line. He seems to have adjusted well and is excelling with this extra minutes that he's getting at the end of the season. He looks like he could be a nice backup point guard. Marshawn Brooks, who they signed to a multi-year deal after 2 exciting and fantastic 10-day contracts that he had signed and played on. This guy is a professional. I mean, he is a professional in every sense of the word. 25 points off the bench in only 26 minutes. That's like a point a minute. 9 of 14 shooting. That is sensational. This guy 3 of 3 from the free throw line, 4 of 6 from the three-point land. This guy has been there. He was a high draft pick. He's been on numerous teams. He's been to the bottom, been at the top. This guy is ready to go. He could be the starting shooting guard, could come off the bench for instant offense next year. The Memphis Grizzlies, if a couple of things go their way and they make 1 or 2 key signings, they could have a pretty good team and could compete for that 7th or 8th spot in the Western Conference playoffs next year. But they win the game, 130 to 117. Oh yeah. In 35 minutes of play, going 8 for 16, scoring 20 points with 1 steal, 9 assists, and 9 rebounds. That was Marc Gasol. This guy, this guy is really good. I'm not going to lie to you. He casually put up those numbers and just dominated and wasn't even trying, with no effort. He just dominated. His offensive repertoire is phenomenal. And this is from a guy who once won Defensive Player of the Year. So they could have a pretty damn good team next year. Mark my words. Then we have the Atlanta Hawks visiting the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics have secured a playoff spot in Eastern Conference long ago. The Atlanta Hawks have been tanking the entire season, it seems like. They're not even playing their starting point guard anymore, Dennis Schroeder. They just shelved him for the rest of the season. But what it has done is open up a lot of minutes, a lot of extra time to gain some confidence from these players from the Atlanta Hawks that they're giving a good long look to see if maybe they can be part of the next season plans. Same thing with the Memphis Grizzlies. If the Boston Celtics, this is what I took from the game, if their main guys recover, and I'm talking about Kyrie and I'm talking about Gordon Hayward, if they recover from the injuries and go back to normal form, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with. Because not only are those guys great, not only do they already have rotation players and starters that are consistently really above average, like Horford and Rozier, but Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, these guys are going to be a force. They are definitely going to be a force. Speaking of Jason Tatum, this guy right here, this guy has some of the longest arms I think I've ever seen in my entire life. And this is from a lifelong Laker who's actually seen Brandon Ingram. I thought he had some long arms. I thought Lamar Odom had some long arms. But Jason Tatum, I mean, Jesus Christ, this guy can pick stuff off the floor standing up. This guy's got some of the longest arms I have ever seen. Combine that with a fantastic skill set. They are going to be a problem, not only in the Eastern Conference, but the NBA as a whole next year. They've got these young guys, Bird, Nader, and Ojale. These guys come off the bench. They're super hungry. They've got great skill sets. They're hard workers. They're determined, and they're very scrappy. They could have a phenomenal team next year. Look out for the Boston Celtics. I hate saying that as a lifelong Laker, but man, they are going to be a problem next year. And then you wrap that all up with the potential coach of the year, Brad Stevens, every year. Hey, man, definitely going to be a problem, man. So I'm sure people in Boston are real excited right now, even though two of their main superstars are injured and out for the rest of the season. But we always got to have hope for next year. Now, after that, the only other thing I took away from this game is there's a second-year player named Taurean Prince. Taurean Prince on the Atlanta Hawks. And he is the reason. He is the sole reason. It seems like the sole reason. The sole reason the Atlanta Hawks pulled out this come-from-behind victory because they were down in the second quarter. They came back to win this game 112 to 106 because Taurean Prince was playing like royalty. In 39 minutes of play, he went 12 of 17, which is about 70% from the field. He absolutely could not be stopped. He had 33 points, 1 block, 1 steal, 5 assists, 8 rebounds, went 7 of 8 from the three-point line. 2 of 2 from the free throw, was a +6 and a plus or minus. He could not be stopped. Now, in a normal game, you know, people play their normal selves. He played way above average. He played way above average than he normally does. So in a regular game, Boston Celtics would have won this very easily because they put up a workmanlike performance like they normally do. But this guy was sensational and fantastic. Taurean Prince played like royalty, earned Atlanta Hawks that victory 112 to 106, and I'm super happy because 2 birds with 1 stone. These tankers Atlanta Hawks do not get rewarded for that. They decrease their chances of having a good draft pick, and the Boston Celtics, the hated Boston Celtics, got defeated. So I'm always loving it. I'm feeling good. I got my head up high, even though the Lakers aren't going to go to the playoffs. Good game destroyed by the bottom feeders, the Atlanta Hawks, against the Boston Celtics. Then we had the Indiana Pacers going against the Charlotte Hornets. They won this game 123 to 117. But I'm going to tell you what I took away from this game. First of all, it was some excellent coaching from both teams because they managed the minutes of the players according to where the teams are going. Charlotte Hornets are going nowhere, so there's no reason to play your starters a bunch of minutes. You need to see what you've got going into next year, who to re-sign, who to let go, who to trade, and who to look for. You just signed Mitch Kupchak, who used to be the long-term general manager for the Lakers until they got Rob Pelinka to take his position. You know, so big ups to him. He went to North Carolina, so did Michael Jordan, who is the owner of the Hornets. So I'm sure that played a good role in there, but he was an excellent GM. I mean, he made some bad decisions, you know, just like every other GM does. But I think it was due to the erroneous, ridiculous amount of pressure that was placed on him by Jim Buss. So congratulations to him becoming the new GM of the Charlotte Hornets. So you have that being said, I'm sure they want to get a real good look at the people coming off the bench and the rookies and their 10-day contract players and G League players, you know, to see what they really had, you know, as he's first coming in. Starters for the Hornets, the most minutes played was 27 minutes by Gilchrist. The rest of them by 22 or 24 minutes. And then you had the Indiana Pacers. The starting center for the Pacers only played 7 minutes. Bogdanovich played 31 minutes, but that he was the lone outlier who played more minutes than necessary. Victor Oladipo, there's Oladipo! He played 27 minutes. That was just enough for them to get the win. They wanted to make sure they stayed in rhythm, you know, going into the playoffs. You definitely don't want to sit out for a week of not playing games and then expect to turn it on and still have it going like magic. So you definitely want to get some good minutes in and then go sit down after you get the win, especially, you know, for all your fans that you have around the league. The Hornets played fairly well. I mean, the starters put in some average numbers. There were 4 guys in double figures, but they only played limited minutes. Then you had some guys who got extended minutes, like Hernan Gomez and Kaminsky, who also put in almost double figures and double figures. But the real story was Malik Monk. This guy is a bona fide scorer. He is electric. 24 minutes, 8 of 17, almost about 45%, 22 points off the bench, 5 assists, 2 steals, only 1 turnover. This guy was a great pick and a great find. I'm glad they didn't run him into the ground in the season that they weren't really going to compete for a championship. But they know now that next year this guy is going to be a force to reckon with. Then we had a little more excitement as the Philadelphia 76ers played the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks are tanking. They have absolutely nothing to play for unless you're looking for a new contract next year. And the Philadelphia 76ers have already locked up their position in the Eastern Conference playoffs. They have a center on the men, their all-NBA center, Joel Embiid, so he did not play today. But Ben Simmons, who is the leading candidate along with Donovan Mitchell for Rookie of the Year, he has been sensational, stepping up in place of Joel Embiid in his absence as the leader of the team. They're like the hottest team in the league. They've won 12, 13, about 14 games in a row. So it was looking pretty bleak for the Dallas Mavericks. First thing I noticed about this game between the Mavericks and the 76ers is that the Dallas Mavericks only scored 20 points in the first quarter and 21 points in the fourth quarter. So they started out, couldn't score. Ended off the game, couldn't score. You are not going to win any game scoring 20 points in a quarter. It is just not going to happen. Dennis Smith Jr., the fantastic rookie out of North Carolina State for the Mavericks, looks pretty good. Had 20 points, 9 of 19. That's almost 50% shooting. Had 11 assists. Only had 3 turnovers. For a rookie, that is absolutely fantastic. Add in 5 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 blocks. He had a great all-around game. But they were playing a bunch of people that probably won't be playing together next year. Some will be on the bench. Some won't be. They'll be 10-day contracts. Some might not even be in the league or on the team anymore. But this led Harrison Barnes to be the role of the man again, as he played 43 minutes and took 25 huge shots. This guy only made 9 of them, which is about 36%. Only scored, what did he score? 21 points. No steals, no blocks, only 2 assists and 3 rebounds. In 43 minutes, you absolutely cannot be the man on the team and play in 43 minutes and take 25 shots and only have 2 assists. That is not going to get, with 21 points, can't do it. No, sir. He is not the man on the team. He is not that guy. He's not built to be the number 1 scoring option and the lead guy. Maybe the second or the third, but if he's the best guy on your team, it's going to be a problem. But that will no longer be the case. Coming next year, Dennis Smith Jr. will be more solid and more consistent, more confident in his role as he tries to lead them to respectability. Today just was not that day to start on that journey, as Ben Simmons had another excellent, fantastic, ho-hum performance in this huge winning streak for the Sixers at 16 points, 4 steals, 1 block, 9 assists, 7 rebounds, close to a triple-double. If he'd have played any more than 31 minutes, that would have been stupid by their coach. But I'm sure he could have got that triple-double. Shot 70% from the field, 7 of 10. Didn't even attempt a three-pointer and still dominated the game absolutely and positively. That gave them the win, 109-97. Let's go 76ers, as they say out there in the city of brotherly love. Then we had the Golden State Warriors facing the Phoenix Suns. Didn't want the Suns to get rewarded for tanking, but also didn't want the Warriors to get any momentum going into the playoffs. Pretty much this is what happened. Let me tell you what happened. Klay Thompson, most people would look at the game and they would say, oh wow, Klay Thompson had like 34. He had like 19 points in the first quarter. They were just killing him. Oh my God, he was just fantastic. They just steamrolled him. Yes, Klay Thompson had like 19 in the first quarter. He was on fire pretty much because they weren't guarding him, and he was knocking down everything coming off screens, posting up. He just really couldn't be stopped. But after that first quarter, they were only up by 4 points. So that didn't really give them the separation that reflected the end of the game score. As I looked more in depth into the game, let me tell you the reason why the Golden State Warriors won this game, and won it easily. It was Alex Len for the Suns versus Jordan Bell, Damon Jones, JaVale McGee, and Zaza Pachulia for the Warriors. You're like, who are those guys? Those are the centers for each team. The centers for the Suns was only one center, Alex Len, and he only played 25 minutes. What did they do? How did they try to beat the Warriors? They tried to play small ball, and they just got dominated on the boards, put back, setting screens. They couldn't do nothing with that quartet of centers from the Warriors. Now, the Warriors centers didn't actually get more boards because the Suns were playing small ball. They were doing a lot of motion offense. But what it does is it throws off those other players into positions or roles that they're not used to. So they got some extra rebounds, the small forwards and the shooting guards. Everybody, chipped in, as a team effort on the glass. But it leaves you out of position from doing what you're best at. That's what you're used to. And since you usually have to out-hustle people that are taller and bigger than you are, they ran out of gas. But, by the end of the game, it just wasn't meant to be for them. It was just too much size, too much control, too much easy flowing offense from the Golden State Warriors. I mean, Kevin Durant only played 31 minutes, shot 6 of 11, which is more than 50%. 2 of 4 from the three-point line. He had 9 assists, 4 rebounds, 1 steal, and 17 points for an easy night. Golden State Warriors win 117 to 100 of the Phoenix Suns. To end the night, we had the Utah Jazz playing my Los Angeles Lakers, who are hurting from a lot of key injuries to players like Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, and Lonzo Ball, the second pick of the NBA draft in 2017. The Utah Jazz have been one of the hottest teams in the NBA over the last 2 months with their stout defense, led by Rudy Gobert, the Stifle Tower as they call him. He is likely going to be the Defensive Player of the Year, and likely co-Rookie of the Year. Donovan Mitchell has been playing like a veteran, leading the team after the trade. Not even the trade, but just the letting go of the inability to re-sign Gordon Hayward to the Celtics. Ricky Rubio has found his stroke. He's shooting much nicer than he did when he first came into the league. And after those trade rumors were quelled down, and he was still with the team after the deadline, they all went on a furious run. They won like 20-something games out of like 25. I mean, they've just been fantastic the last 2 months. And what was on the line was a clinched playoff spot. So they went to battle with my Los Angeles Lakers. The first thing I noticed is that Josh Hart for the Lakers, the rookie out of Villanova, this guy is my vote. He gets my vote for co-steal of the draft with Kyle Kuzma. This guy is so super above solid. This guy he is a diamond in the rough. This guy's defense is phenomenal. His basketball IQ is off the chart. His offense is solid in every category. He can come off screens, he can handle the ball, he can finish on the break. But man, he had a sensational block on the dunk attempt by Donovan Mitchell on the break. The reason why he was able to get that is because Usually Ricky Rubio is a fantastic passer, but he was late, way late, about a second and a half too late. That allowed Josh Hart to get in position, but man, Donovan Mitchell exposed the ball and went cocked back the hammer, and Josh Hart said, "We'll have none of that for you, sir," and rejected that shit. And everybody was in amazement that he didn't get that highlight reel dunk. But that was fantastic, and he is a keeper. He is going to be a long-term part of the Lakers' future. Joe Ingles is an underrated, not English, but Ingles is an underrated player for the Utah Jazz. He's calm, collect, can knock down a three, got some nice handles on him, plays fairly good D for his size. On an underrated team, the Utah Jazz. No one wants to play these guys because they are good. Very solid on offense and defense, can be explosive at times, and can play shutdown defense. Nobody wants to play the Utah Jazz, believe me on that. The Lakers had about 5 turnovers in the first 6 minutes, and the game got out of hand from there. It was just pretty ridiculous, even though the Lakers did mount a comeback in the second quarter to get within 2. Actually, I believe it's Joe Ingles is how you pronounce that guy's name. But man, he had in the third quarter, he had a drive on the right side of the baseline, went up for the super quick dunk, and it was fantastic. I was like, who is this guy? He looks like he's drinking down at the pub every Saturday night, but his basketball game is on point. I'm not mad at all. That was a sneaky, sensational dunk. I loved it. Except for the fact that it was on my Lakers. I don't really blame my Lakers for this loss. I mean, because the defense was horrible. Yes, it was. But when you're adding in a bunch of new players that haven't played together for very long, and people with different mindsets playing with different strategies and different goals, like trying to just make the team or stay on the team and not go back to the G League, it's hard to get that defensive consistency. And with such a disciplined Utah Jazz team on both sides of the ball, it was an easy victory for the Utah Jazz. Donovan Mitchell was fantastic, whether playing at shooting guard or filling in at point guard for Ricky Rubio. When he went to the bench, he was sensational. I mean, fantastic. He shot 50% from the field, played 38 big-time minutes. He was 9 of 18, 7 of 10 from free throws, 3 of 7 from three-point land, a +9 and a plus or minus. He had 28 huge points, 1 block, 1 steal, 8 assists, and 9 rebounds, almost at the triple-double, as the Utah Jazz destroyed my Los Angeles Lakers 112-97, clinching a spot in the Western Conference playoff. Now on for tonight, there are 9 games scheduled today, starting off with the Toronto Raptors playing the Detroit Pistons. Pistons have nothing to play for, while the Toronto Raptors also have nothing to play for, except they want to stay in a good rhythm. I imagine they're going to allot a lot of minutes to the guys on the bench. Kyle Lowry might not even play, as DeMar DeRozan probably will. They will take turns in taking games off so they can get rest toward the end of the season. I still expect the Raptors to win. Too much consistency on that team, and hope for the playoff future. I expect them to win by about 6 or 7 points. Then we got the Chicago Bulls, favorite team of my friend Samid, playing the Brooklyn Nets. Chicago Bulls want to lose this game. They definitely want to tank, even though some of the players are playing way too well for that. But the Brooklyn Nets have no reason to tank. They will be playing very hard, especially D'Angelo Russell from Los Angeles Lakers, who they drafted number 2 overall in 2015. I believe the Brooklyn Nets will win this game, even if not on their own merits. Chicago will just give it away to them. Then the Cleveland Cavaliers are playing the New York Knickerbockers, and they will be playing in New York. Now, usually I would say that, man, Cleveland wants to get some rest, but no, LeBron's of the mindset that I want to show out, show people how awesome I am so I can stay in the top of your dome in the greatest player of all time debate, the greatest player in the league right now debate, and who could sneakily get that MVP because I'm putting up monstrous numbers, even though he's not playing defense at all. And it is in the, I'm doing my finger quotes, the basketball mecca, as everyone says. I'm sure he wants to put on a show in New York. So I fully expect Cleveland to win this game easily, easily, easily by 5 or 6 points. But I expect some monster numbers from LeBron James because he wants to play 82 games this season. Doesn't want to miss a single one. Show that he is an Iron Man, and not like me, but you know that he can play every single game of the season. That he can do that and still put up sensational number in his 15th season. I expect him to win easily with big numbers by LeBron James. Now, OKC, they're going to be playing Miami, and what's on the line? They have 2 more games left. If they win one of these games, I believe they earn a spot in the Western Conference playoffs bracket. Miami has already clinched a spot. They will likely be resting a bunch of people. So I expect OKC, even though I don't want them to win, I expect them to get this easy win over the Miami Heat, clinching them a playoff berth, even though I'm hoping for a miracle. But then we have the Memphis Grizzlies playing the Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota Timberwolves have everything on the line. And since the reemergence of Jimmy Butler after an injury came back and helped them easily get that victory the other night, I believe they will do the same. I think they also have 2 games left, and if they win one, they will get into the playoffs. I expect them to get an easy victory over the tanking Memphis Grizzlies, even if, you know, I would say that Memphis is going to put up a fight, but I know they don't want to wear down Marc Gasol. They might not even play him today because they take a game off for rest, and then he plays about 20 minutes, and he's sensational in those 20 minutes. That's what they're doing toward the end of the season because they're really tanking. They are tanking, but they don't want to get fined from the league. I'm just here so I don't get fined. They're just here so they don't get fined. That's the only reason they're playing him at all, or he would be sitting on the sideline in a suit. I expect the Minnesota Timberwolves to pull out this victory. Then we have the Orlando Magic playing the Milwaukee Bucks. The Orlando Magic are also tanking. Milwaukee Bucks are just trying to stay healthy and get some type of momentum going into the playoffs. I expect them to play limited minutes to the starters, but I expect them to get the win over the tanking Orlando Magic, because if they don't earn it, the Orlando Magic are going to give it to them. Now, the Sacramento Kings are playing the San Antonio Spurs. Spurs have everything on the line. They need to win these games to close out the season to ensure that they get a playoff spot. I know they don't want their long reign of consistently making the playoffs to end, so I expect them to get that victory over the tanking Sacramento Kings. Like I said, even if the Kings play well, because they got some guys that want to show what they can do, I'm sure management and the coaches will, do my finger quotes, make the necessary substitutions at the end of the game so they can lose that and put a better grasp on their high draft pick in the upcoming draft this summer. Then we got the Portland Trail Blazers, who have absolutely nothing to play for. And I mean nothing. The Denver Nuggets have everything to play for. I believe the Denver Nuggets will pull out this victory because they're going to be playing hard like their lives depend on it, which they do. And people at Portland, they're going to be resting their players, not trying to give it their all because it's unnecessary at this point. So I expect Denver to win this game. Then the New Orleans Pelicans, who are in the same boat, they need to win so they can clinch a playoff spot. So they're going to be playing hard with their yearly potential MVP candidate, Anthony Davis. I expect them to pull out the victory over the recently eliminated Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers didn't even look good when they got eliminated, except for Montrezl Harrell, and they weren't even given minutes to Sam Decker from off the bench. So I don't even think they want to win. They just want to go ahead and throw in the towel. So I expect New Orleans to pull out that victory. There you have it. Those have been my views for tonight. As always, to support your boy, please subscribe to the channel by punching in JMVOL or Just My Views on Life into the search bar on youtube.com. Hit that notification bell so you're alerted every time there's a brand new video. If you think they may enjoy the content, please feel free to share this video with all your friends, your fans, subscribers, neighbors, relatives, and associates at work. I'm Iron Man from the music group The Lottery, Showtime Records. And it's just how I see it. Be blessed and Godspeed. Feel free to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoy it. Really and truly appreciate it. Leave all your interesting comments right down below, especially the ones where you disagree with everything that I just said. And then subscribe so you don't miss any of the newest and latest views.